which he lectured over there on the sideline during the timeout. He wants this crowd to come alive here. He is down 22-10. He has 14 minutes to go in the first half. Offensive rebounds. Auburn with 5 and Indiana with only 1 so far in the early going.
Terrence Howard in the ball game. Interesting switch for Sonny Smith early. Good screen inside again.
And it was more down low.
Brent, I'm amazed at how well Auburn is running their patterns against Indiana. They're just good, solid screens, getting a lot of people open down low.
I think Knight's going to have to go big with this lineup pretty soon, Billy. I think he's got a real mismatch problem. Swatted away. Goaltending. More. Garrett gets credit for the field goal here.
Steve Isle coming in and Thomas coming out. Now, the reason Thomas is coming out, Bobby can't believe it either. Why in the world is Auburn getting solid screens inside in his club and getting so wide open down low? Here's a 1-4 offense, running a lot of different sets.
Howard, who just checked in, was the ball handler. Boy, Moore feels it now. He put up a bad shot on the turnaround, though. Didn't look smooth on that when he pulled the trigger, did he?
Let's see if they stay in a box. Now they're in a triangle in 2.
Alford 0 for 1 in the game.
They've played 3 different defenses so far. Now they're in a triangle in 2. 2 guys playing man-to-man, 3 zone.
And Garrett will shoot a pair. And Ian Moore now stepping in as Howard and a referee.
Gonna see some pushing inside. Moore still running his mouth. Not a smart thing to do. Smart move by Sonny.
Here is the foul.
He went down on him hard.
Now watch how Garrett reacts. Garrett moving up at the free throw line. We're going to show you Garrett's reaction because that's what touched it off. Missing his first free throw. Contact. And Garrett said, "In your face." And that's when Moore came back after him. Garrett is 1 of 2. It is a 24-13 Auburn lead. 13 minutes to go.
Fred, I think that was a smart move to take Moore out of the game right there. Get his mind settled down. You can't afford to lose him early.
White missing the 3-point shot. And the foul is on Howard inside. It'll go to the Hoosiers against Smith's Auburn Tigers. Along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. We're live at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis. A crowd in excess of 30,000 here this afternoon, and they have watched Auburn jump to an early lead, 24-13.
Thomas back in the ball game, and you can tell Bobby Knight wanted to go, obviously, with his best ball club out there. He just chewed Thomas out a little bit for those defensive maneuvers.
Here's Alford trying to get in the scoreboard.
Now they're back to the box and 1.
Pounding Alford. Forces one, won't go. Offensively, it is Smart again. Boy, can he jump. Inside. It's Auburn. And against the Hoosiers, the crowd doesn't like this call. Knight is up again.
Now what you've got, Brent, is I think that all of a sudden Indiana has come to life. Now they're starting to really crash those boards.
It's also getting very physical out there, isn't it, Bill? And the turnaround, it is Garrett.
Easy to get the ball in that 2-3 zone, right down in low. Garrett recognizes and turns.
Here comes the crowd. Morris on a leaner jumping in. And Thomas comes out with a rebound and an elbow, and he is fouled.
In the last 30 seconds, Brent, we have seen a different Indiana ball club. All of a sudden, they are now emotionally into this game. They started out very, very slow.
His second foul. 16.
Now, 2 plays ago, you may have noticed Alford's reaction here when he banged into Terrence Howard. Howard hounding him back down by the baseline. I think the little incident between Garrett and Moore may have turned him on, Billy. Thomas. Certainly the lecture he received from the coach didn't hurt either. Now it's 24-17, and the crowd climbs into it.
Indiana stays in the man-to-man.
Jones up over the defense for 2. That's 6 here in the first half from Mike Jones of Columbus, Georgia.
Now let's check this D out. They're back to the triangle and 2. You've got Gerald White on Callaway and Howard on Alford.
Callaway moving without the ball, and Auburn battling through those screens that Indiana likes to throw over here on the wings. It'll be Thomas again. Moore's rebound.
Nice.
Baseline was cut off well, and so the 3 by White is not there. And the foul goes against Auburn. That is 2-3 make it on Ford. Make that 3 personals on Frank Ford.
And they've all come up on rebounding situations. Auburn in real trouble foul-wise.
They are already over the limit. Indiana shooting the 1-and-1. And Johnny Lynn comes off the Auburn bench. He's the 6'2 junior guard from Hendersonville, Tennessee.
What makes it tough now for Sonny Allen is his team is really small out there in the court, Brent. They're playing what amount to 3 very small guards. Indiana ought to really be able to pound them inside now.
So being over the limit allows Knight to cash in a couple of free throws, and it's down to 7. 11 minutes to go, first half. Lynn and Howard in the backcourt. Moore wants it.
You're not going to beat Indiana there. And another quick reach-in call.
That's on White, his first.
There's no question it was a foul, Brent, but the point being, and look at the team fouls a little different there, and they have been legitimate calls. The point is that you have no business fouling a man in the backcourt when he's got a ball in 2 hands like that. No chance for a steal.
And the difference in the team fouls about to show up on the scoreboard.
Not only that, but Indiana, a great free throw shooting team, shooting over 76%. And this young man going to the line on his career is averaging 89% from the foul line.
You saw Jones sit down as John Kaler, the freshman, checking in for Auburn, and he missed the front end.
Well, he probably won't miss another one now. He's shooting 90%. Missed 1 out of every 10.
Auburn needs to get a field goal here. Indiana on a 9-2 run, and it is Moore. 6 points in the first half.
Brent, one of those wide bodies, tough to get close to him. Now the defense changes. 1-2-2 zone.
Callaway's missed, but he gets it back. Offensive rebound and a field goal by Rick Callaway. 8 points. Back to 7. The Tigers were up by 12.
Sonny Smith really has a problem now defensively with such a small team on that floor. Callaway's quick enough to guard a man in the guard position.
Callaway rebounding Moore's miss. That's his 5th rebound here in the first half. Alford. His first field goal.
The 1-2-2 zone found Kaler in a position where he was trying to protect inside, but you've got Alford out there with that great jump shot so he can really spread his zone.
Howard short, Indiana's ball.
Not a real fast breaking club. They like to play the half-court game.
Foul difficulty, but he traveled on the turnover, goes to Auburn. The foul difficulty has allowed the Hoosiers to come back in this. At the 9:19 mark, we've got a timeout. We'll be right back.
There's a company today that ensures successful people coast to coast. Across America, we bring security and financial planning to people like you. We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives. We insure success.
Watch this. Blues Class. Repeat after me. Seagram's. Golden. Wine Cooler.
Zenith's clean, cube-shaped styling gives you so much screen from side to side and corner to corner, it makes watching television a whole new ballgame. Zenith. Quality.
The winds of change are blowing at today's Chevrolet. Put yourself in today's Chevrolet Corsica and feel the winds of change.
The heartbeat of America.
Corsica.
That's today's Chevrolet.
Earlier this year, I asked Bob Knight if he could win the national title. He said he didn't think so. Yesterday, I asked him what he thought now at tournament time.
If we could beat Auburn, that's an indication to me that we could play with about anybody. Now, we've had some indications, Brent, during the course of the year that we could play on given days with anybody, but it's not a team that I look at and say, hey, every night we're going to go out, we're really going to be tough to beat, because we're just not quite good enough defensively.
Billy, he got tough in this game. After down by 12 points, they have been attacking the glass with some enthusiasm.
Yeah, they start out this game, and it really surprised me because normally they come out of the box pretty quick, but they started that game. Now you can see they're actually leading and rebounded 14-10. Very unusual to see Indiana come out that way. Now they're back in the zone, 2-3.
How strange it is to see for a Knight coach team drop into a zone defense, but he'll change it up from time to time. And against the zone, Jones burns it with a field goal. 8 points in the first half for Mike Jones.
Pretty nice screen by Lynn. Sonny Smith really having to go to a bench that he didn't count on in this ball game.
Garrett. 9 for Garrett. It's a 5-point lead by Auburn of the Southeastern Conference over Indiana.
Bobby showed him a zone one time down the court and goes back to man-to-man.
Here's Moore. He has not been bashful about taking his shot. That's 8 for the Auburn center.
Of course, Moore was around last year when he had the great Chuck Person, so his inside game was even more effective because he had that great range shooter. Alford open.
It's a 2. You mentioned Person. He's involved in this one, too. He spoke to each Auburn player individually over at the hotel before they came to the Hoosier Dome. He now plays for the Pacers here in Indianapolis.
There you saw an indication of how well Callaway can sit down defensively and play somebody.
White on a spinner. Smart on him, went to the floor with his first personal. So a game summation here of this, the opener of the Midwest Regional at Indianapolis this afternoon. Auburn breaking early, and Indiana starting to shoot well from the field. 18 fouls against Auburn would be the statistic that allowed the Hoosiers to close that lead. They were shooting the 1-on-1 early. Jones again left all alone at the line.
That one had Bobby Knight throw his eyes right up in the back of his head. He can't believe somebody, he's still staring up the ceiling. Can't believe somebody could be that wide open. Now Auburn goes to a 1-3-1 zone.
A 3. Alford's first home run.
That's what's so tough about this club. If you play a zone against them, Alford stands outside. It's very difficult.
The crowd up for the first time. Hoosiers have closed to within 4. Jones fouled. And that's the second on Garrett.
Going to be a shooting foul this time. Jones stepping out. Garrett trying to play back inside, almost like a little one-man zone. And Bobby gets upset when fellows get that wide open a shot against any of his defenses. What are they? They're just going to talk for refereeing a little bit. Now they're going after each other, Alford and White. You don't see Steve Alford lose his cool very often.
Now Knight walking over to Sonny Smith. The two are having words at midcourt, and Knight is saying, "Get off my man."
Now, you know what's interesting?
And Sonny Smith doesn't back away. He went nose to nose with him.
Sonny, one of the most entertaining calm guys in college basketball. Now, he came down, thought maybe Bobby was going to have a nice little conversation with him when he saw it going in the other direction. You're right, Brent. He didn't back down a bit. Hey, he's been in some wars in the SEC. He's not going to take any Big Ten nonsense.
It has been a tough physical game. Jones hits the free throw. That's 11 points for Mike Jones. We'll show you what precipitated that outburst when we get a stoppage in play. It's 36-30.
And it's back to the box in one. That's going to, yes, sir.
Pushing off. Auburn and Thomas down inside. It goes against Alford.
Offensive foul on Steve.
This was the incident. Alford walking through the huddle to have words with a player.
Fouls on Indiana.
Howard objecting, restrained by the referee. Now Knight is standing up on the sideline, and Jones is red hot. It's 14 points for Jones. He's burning the nets down here.
Brent, it's not often that a man can step out and shoot at that range, and Garrett usually hangs inside.
Smart goes underhanded.
Right through the box. Here are those inside screens.
Stolen by Thomas. Another player goes crashing to the floor. Alford bangs in a three-pointer.
That's a legal solid screen, Brent, because the screener was still giving that man a lot more than one step.
The whistle had blown. Crashing to the floor as the result of still more contact here this afternoon. And the ball will be turned over. Here is the collision underneath.
Brent,
As Callaway was clearing out.
Brent, I don't believe that call was correct at all. Now, if you are being screened, you have no right to just run right through the man. You can see Alford ran right through. Callaway used his upper arm to shield off. And Sonny Smith really has a legitimate gripe there. You see Terrence Howard going to sitting on the bench. He's just trying to get his breath back. He took some shot on that last solid screen. Watch this shot. Legitimate screen. You cannot run right through the man, so there was no foul there whatsoever. It was a legitimate play. You know, you can have contact and it not be a foul, and that was a good case for it right there.
It's down to one. The crowd's alive. Jones is hit by Garrett. That's his third.
Fred, that's the second time today Garrett had the good block, and if he had not come down with his wrist and slapped at the ball, he would have had the block. Instead, he came down with a hand and committed a foul. That hurts Bobby Knight's attack because he doesn't have that great athlete in the middle.
Steve Isle off Knight's bench.
So both teams hurt by foul problems here in the first half.
And despite the fact that Garrett has to sit down, there are only 5 team fouls against the Hoosiers. Knight's team has 1 to give before they get into the one-on-one.
Garrett's 233 rebounds puts him right behind Ray Tolbert as the #2 rebounder that Indiana has had here in quite some time.
16 points for Jones.
And Tolbert, as you remember, took him to the Final Four in '81. Back to the box and one, chasing Steve Alford on that baseline.
Quick pass to Thomas. Chance for a three-pointer. Two fouls on Jeff Moore.
Brett, one of the things that's so tough to play junk defenses against Indiana is Steve Alford is patient, and Indiana has seen these type of defenses so often in his career that they adjust very well to get that ball inside.
We are tied at the 5:35 mark. Auburn and Indiana, 40 all.
Smart wanted that one. That's a walk.
And traveled.
Although Sonny Smith won the game running up and down the floor, right now he'd like to protect a little bit of this clock while he has two key starters out of there. You can see how offensively he's really got a problem. Now he's going to put more down, so he really is small, and he's only got one starter on the floor, Gerald White. Oh, excuse me, Jones is still out there.
Auburn clears. Howard gets his own miss. Can't get it to fall. And the foul is going to go against Isle, his first. It could have gone against either Alford or Isle. Alford has turned the Hoosiers around offensively. He has scored 12 of their last 17 points as they climb back into this game here in the first half.
Man-to-man out of bounds. We've seen Western Kentucky yesterday scoring an out-of-bounds play to win it all.
Lynn is short. Howard. He's gone strong to the glass
quick,
here
isn't he?
for a guard. Next dead ball will give these coaches a TV timeout. We're inside of the 4:45 mark. Jones is up over Isle. Callaway. This place will erupt when the Hoosiers take the lead. Now Smith barks instructions, trying to get his Tigers back to a tie.
They really got out of their offense. You can see they don't have enough weapons out there to score.
Jones. Thomas was fouled underneath. And remember, the Hoosiers have been shooting 1-on-1 for a long time. 2 on Kaler.
And Indiana only has 16 fouls so far this half.
Kaler for Auburn draws the foul, his second.
How many teams you see now, Brent, go to that little huddle, all 5 men talking about their defensive count, and a lot of coaches use those mini timeouts where they can pull 2 men, sometimes even 5 men over to the sidelines to talk to them.
Hoosiers have been shooting the 1-on-1 since the 11-minute mark here in the first half.
And as I pointed out, 76% free throw shooting team, something you really like come tournament time. You got a club that can make those free throws. Jones about the only threat on the inside here. And he's been taking jumpers from the outside.
Howard off a good fake to the inside. Callaway was short. Lead to Callaway, who bobbled it. Smith wanted traveling. Not looking at the ball. It goes out of bounds. So we've got a timeout. Indiana leading Auburn 43-40. We'll be right back.
We're not a company.
But we recognize potential. We develop it. We use it.
We'll make sure that as your responsibility grows, so will you.
As your ability for leadership grows, so will you.
Working with us, you'll gain self-confidence.
Become a person with a future.
We're not a company.
We're your country.
We're the Marines.
The Army.
The Navy.
The Air Force.
We're the armed forces.
It's a great place to start.
There's no such thing as a small business. Not when it's yours.
So my insurance agent has to protect my business and my family without wasting my time or my money.
An agent with a financial plan, custom made for me, with regular reviews because my needs are always changing.
An agent who brings me the best and strongest insurance company he can.
We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives.
we ensure success.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Murph. You know, honey, I always buy 76 gasoline so my car will run smoother.
I buy it because it keeps my carburetor clean.
Well, we'll buy 76 so our car will run smoother.
Cleaner.
Smoother.
Cleaner.
You're both right. The 76 gives your car a smoother running engine because it keeps your carburetor clean.
Oh, darling, our first bite. Fill her up with spirit.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No.
It was the spirit of 76.
Thank you, Designing Women fans. CBS got your 50,000 letters.
Sure did. Thanks to you, we're back on Monday nights after Newhart.
Reunited.
Monday on CBS.
Billy, let's take a look at Alford.
Well, Auburn's playing the box and one. Now watch Steve Alford over in the right-hand corner, constantly on the move. He very seldom handles the ball with the dribble. Now here he comes, and here comes the man chasing him. But what happens, Jones realizes he's unguarded out there. He steps outside of his area in the box and one. Thomas, realizing there's a hole there, steps right in. That's why it's so tough to play the junk defenses against Steve Alford.
Billy, we certainly recognize the head official, Rick Wilkow. He was involved in our instant replay controversy down in Norman, Oklahoma, between the Sooners and UNLV. Chuck Weinkoff of Carmel, Indiana, and Rusty Herring of Durham, North Carolina are working with Wilkow, who lives in Boone, Iowa.
Now Callaway guarding Jones, doing a much better job stepping out on him than Garrett was doing, and that's why that pass is not available anymore to Jones. Auburn stays in the box and one. Keep an eye on Alford's movement.
Trying to get Isle. Ill-advised pass. Kaler was in the lane. Kaler gets it back. Shoves the bounce pass in, but Howard passes up the shot.
Sonny Allen wanted to use a little of the clock, realizing he's got most of his firepower on that bench. Sonny Smith, excuse me.
Jones maneuvering, drew the foul. He'll shoot a pair, and that's 2 on Isle.
Pretty good coaching job by Sonny over there, Brent. You figure all that firepower he had down early in the game, and when all of his starters are guys that play over 30 minutes, he really had to pull some straws here to stay in this one.
You know, against San Diego, Auburn was forced to the wall, and Jones scored 32 points in that game. He now has the Tigers' last 9 points in this one, 17 for the first half. So the 6'7" sophomore from Columbus, Georgia, he is the man they counted on to replace Chuck Person. He's not there yet, but he has a great future.
But this club has 2 Mr. Basketballs of Georgia, 1 from Florida.
And 1 from Alabama.
And 1 from Alabama, right?
Thomas. Indiana up by 3, 45-42. 2:15 to go, first half. Away from the ball.
There's another screen down inside. Another foul on Auburn. And they've got the small guys down in there, but they're the ones picking up all the fouls, doing the banging.
Coming up next on CBS, game 2 of our tripleheader, the Runnin' Rebels against Kansas State, or Notre Dame taking on TCU, and we'll be back here with Duke versus Xavier. Most of you will see the Runnin' Rebels. Can they go all the way? We're going to find out. Sonny Smith is very vociferous about one official out here right now.
I don't blame him, Brent.
Most of his calls have been against Auburn, Billy?
It looked that way to me.
Indiana 47, Auburn 42.
Bobby's been very quiet on the bench of late. Auburn's still running their offense, but they don't have the athletes inside to score.
Now the officials conferring underneath, trying to get the story straight. They give the ball to Auburn.
Steve Auburn, I think it did hit his foot, but he didn't want to admit it. They just smiled on the way out.
Lynn penetrating.
Draws the charge.
So that's the first against Lynn.
Well, Lynn only has taken 81 shots all year, so you can see that Sonny Smith is down the line here. 14-6 in that shooting from the foul line. Indiana has big advantage there.
Harold Thomas at the line for Indiana.
Been kind of a crazy half, hasn't it, Brent? Auburn starting out with all that firepower. Indiana coming back solid now. I guess Sonny Smith decided he's just going to have to keep him on the bench and try to save that foul problem, hoping he can get a full second half out of him.
Todd Meyer in for Indiana, Billy.
Well, Todd has been a starter over periods of his career. Good shooter, solid foundation, understands the game, knows Bobby Knight's concept, so don't expect him to make many mistakes.
It's been an impressive turnaround. Auburn led by 14 points. Now Indiana up by 7. We got a 21-point swing here in the first half. Score it for Jones. The foul on Isle is his third. Boy, what a first half Jones has had.
That shows you what a great player he is, too, because Isle is a solid defender.
The foul is called on Steve Isle, his third.
He's been in double figures 17 out of the last 18 games. So this is nothing strange.
With those 21 points, Auburn down by 4.
And they stay in a box and 1.
Off Isle.
Nice hustle.
Got the ball for the Tigers. Gerald White on the pull-up. Can't get it to fall. Isle hustles back for the defensive rebound, and Isle is down. He's hit in the back of the head. He's injured. Smart brings it back up. Isle to my right is still down on the floor.
Officials timeout.
Billy took a shot. White pulls up, takes the jumper. Isle going after, does a good job.
He was hit before.
Yeah, I really didn't see that, Brent, on that
Didn't
particular
come late.
play.
It came early, but he hung with it. And Knight pointing out to one of the officials where his man was hammered. Let's take you back to the start of this game. Do you remember that one scene we showed you off a missed jam, and Knight got up and started working over the officials? Remember that moment in the game? That was Knight going to work on the officials. And since then, things have gone pretty much in his favor in this game as far as fouls are concerned.
Now Sonny Smith has Derek Dennison in the game, Brent, and he's going to pick up Steve Alford a little in the man situation in his box and 1. So that's 3 different guys have chased Alford in his first half.
Also, Trey Smith will try it on that sprained ankle. He's number 42, just gave it up. That victory over Fairfield. He will be seeing if he can turn in some minutes here. Callaway's jumping for 2. That's 10 points for Rick Callaway out of Cincinnati.
Callaway really taking advantage of the box and 1. He goes and gets himself a solid screen. Excellent player.
Jones again, it's like a one-man offensive show. He didn't get the roll that time. He's the only Auburn player to score in the last 7 minutes. Almost had that one down.
You know,
as he went to the glass, it was called against him.
You know which way they're walking. That was a good steal on the inside. Lynn just hanging around back there was able to pick it off. That's the second layup that he's missed so far.
Billy, everything underneath down here is going against Auburn. They're just simply not getting a call down there. I can't believe that everything is that one-sided.
Look at that stat sheet.
Entering the Indiana lineup, number 44, Joe Tillman.
We've got 14 fouls against Auburn here in the first half. We have 8 against Indiana. Hillman has checked in. More importantly, Indiana was shooting the bonus at the 11-minute mark here. It is 53-40.
That was really not a good shot, but a big one.
It's good if it goes.
You better believe it. They were looking inside. Big shot by Gerald White.
Knight was down by 14. You're going to the locker room, up by 5. That's the score. It's Indiana 53, Auburn 48. Jim Nantz and James Brown are standing by in our New York studio right after this message and a word from your local station.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start. Unisys, the combined power of Sperry and Burroughs. Unisys, the power of two. And by Pontiac, America's road car company. Pontiac, we build excitement.
Eric, smile.
Eric, smile. Eric waved to Daddy. Phooey. Since they got that little RCA camcorder, I get no peace. It's so easy. He takes it everywhere. Dad. Oh, well, I guess someday I'll look back at this and laugh.
Finally, a VHS camcorder so small, so simple, it doesn't miss a thing. RCA's new Small Wonder VHS. It just might be the world's easiest from RCA.
You know something? The way it runs and feels and everything? This Pontiac 6000 of mine is probably one of the finest road sedans of all time.
Oh, come on.
Probably.
Okay.
I did say probably. Okay.
Think about your life, where you've been, and where you're going.
To the new Vice President.
Today, you need more than life insurance. You need a financial plan to take you where you want to go. We're Mass Mutual, and we insure more than lives. We insure success.
Wednesday, tough times, tough crimes, tougher cops. Houston Knights. The second time is even better.
This is CBS.
Today, everyone has a factory rebate or special interest to offer. We at Wright Cadillac offer all of these. The difference is service, price, and personal attention. Buy the right way.
This herbicide is 3 ways tougher because it's protected by microencapsulation. More Lasso Microtech can get to the weed zone and stay there longer. That makes it tougher and more consistent in different kinds of tillage systems. Tougher and more dependable under heavier rainfall or drier weather. Tougher on a wide range of weeds. Lasso Microtech. 3 ways tougher because less goes to waste, more goes to work.
So at the Hoosier Dome, it's halftime, and Indiana in front of Auburn 53-48, although the Hoosiers trailed at one point in the first half by 14. Welcome back to our anchor position in New York. Jim Nantz, so on with James Brown. You know, Frank Ford went out with his 3rd foul with 11 minutes remaining in the first half. Tigers led by 9, and then what a turnaround, a 14-point turnaround. This has been a war. They should have been playing with helmets in the first half.
Hard to believe that a Bobby Knight coach team came out flat in the first half, but then things got physical and emotional for Indiana. Mike Jones of Auburn gets fouled by Dean Garrett. Indiana got fired up at that point, and of course Bobby Knight goes jawboning nose-to-nose with Sonny Smith of Auburn. The sparks were flying much like we were expecting. That, I think, was the key emotionally for Indiana, turning things around for them and giving them the lead.
Mike Jones has 21 for Auburn, but Indiana leading it right now by 5. Now, coming up later, Game 2 of our tournament triple header. Many of you will see Kansas State against the West Region top seed, Nevada, Las Vegas. Now, Gary Bender and Hubie Brown will call that game from Salt Lake City, and they have more.
Thank you, Jim, and welcome to the Special Events Center on the campus of the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The top-ranked team in the country, Nevada, Las Vegas, playing host to Kansas State, a very surprising team, which won their 20th game Thursday night, the first time in 5 years they've had a 20-win season. Hubie Brown, we know the Rebels of Las Vegas are the leading scoring team in the country, but what concerns Kansas State is Nevada, Las Vegas's defense.
Well, Gary, 34 out of 35 teams have not been able to solve it. We're talking about great athletes. They double and triple team the basketball, and then with the 3 or 4 people in rotations, that's what you must beat. The big question mark to me for Kansas State is, can they get the ball to their primary shooters in areas where they can make the big shot?
The Rebels are 34-1, trying to make it to the Final Four for the first time in 10 years. Coming up later today, the Pac-10 champions, the Bruins of UCLA, led by the remarkable Reggie Miller. Reggie in the game Thursday night had 32 points. An outstanding three-point shooter, but look at this move, a beautiful reverse move inside as he led his team to victory. UCLA will play Wyoming, which upset Virginia on Thursday night. What's happening later today in Charlotte? Let's find out from Vern Lundquist.
Coming up a little later this afternoon on CBS, a couple of outstanding games for you in the NCAA tournament from the Coliseum in Charlotte, North Carolina, which will be filled to the rafters at that time. In the first game, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame against a TCU Horned Frog team that is in the NCAAs for the first time since 1971. And, Bill, there really could not be a greater contrast in both the personalities and the styles of the two coaches involved.
Absolutely, Vern. And the key word for this ball game will be tempo. Jim Killingsworth, the coach of TCU, would like to control the tempo, keep the score in the low 60s, and he'll try to do that with a 2-3 zone defensively and using his passing game at the offensive end of the court and use that 45-second clock. Digger Phelps wants an up-tempo game. He's got some great athletes, and he's going to apply a great deal of defensive pressure to try and get David Rivers out to the open court and get his team running.
The second game of our doubleheader will match up two of the better teams in the tournament this year, North Carolina and Michigan. And in what has become almost an annual rite of agony for Tar Heel fans, Bill, again today they have been struck by the injury problem.
Yeah, Vern, Joe Wolf went down with a sprained ankle yesterday, and that leaves Dean Smith with one of two choices, to start Scott Williams, the freshman, or to go with Steve Bucknall, the sophomore.
This is the fifth consecutive year a North Carolina team has lost a starter to injury as they enter the NCAAs. That's it from Charlotte. Now let's go back to Jim and James in New York.
All right, now Vern was talking about that TCU team. Now that Horned Frog unit has a couple of players, really good athletes. Carvin Holcomb, Carl Lott. The nation really doesn't know anything about these players, but they're good.
TCU matches up extremely well with Notre Dame. They can move it up and down the court, but I think they want to control the tempo. Notre Dame, on the other hand, Digger Phelps back and forth this year, whether to turn his team loose or to keep him in control. I think today he's going to have to let them loose.
All right, James, and that'll be coming up later today. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the road signs on the road to the Final Four.
Well, what do you know? Brand new Pontiac Grand Am. Got the injected 3-liter V6, aero skirts, composite headlamps, sport suspension, the special buckets, the big analog gauges, the whole enchilada. Yeah, you big ham. You own one hot car.
Pontiac.
It's important to have friends and teammates who support you. But friends who want you to turn on, get drunk, or get high are not friends at all. Drugs are not going to help you through the tough times or make the good times any better. Drugs are going to bring you down and prevent you from being your best. Please feel free to talk to your coach, your parents, your school counselor, and get the support you need. After all, you can't be a hit when you're high.
Something to think about from the NCAA.
When I was at Rutgers, the other guard was Jim Valvano, the North Carolina State coach, who, to put it one way, is a little zany. We were playing against Delaware, down by 1, with just about 2 seconds to go. I went up to the free throw line, made one shot of a 2-shot free throw. Score was tied, went into overtime. Went into overtime, got the same situation, down by 1 with a 1-and-1. Jimmy comes up, and instead of patting me on the back and telling me you can do it, says, you got us into it, now you get us out of it. Being named to the All-American team let me know I could do almost anything. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Elvin Hayes, Wesley Unseld, Jimmy Walker, I feel good about being the 5th member of that team. If a 6'1" slow guard can do it, along with some of those great players, you sort of can set your sights really high. The athletics, for me, let me pick and choose between 50 or 60 schools and let me pick one as good as Rutgers University. I would have gone, but maybe not to a school as good as Rutgers.
This message furnished by the NCAA.
And we're back live at halftime of the Auburn Indiana game. Midwest region action leading off our triple header. You know, as this tournament continues to take shape, various trends will emerge, new personalities come into prominence, and periodically, James will be pointing out some of the signs of the times along the road to the Final Four.
When was the last time we saw Denny Crum smile? I think it was after winning the NCAA championship with his Louisville Cardinals. But this year's team, riddled by a weak backcourt and a tough schedule, did not make the tournament. So what are Crum's plans for the weekend?
We'll let them study and concentrate on their academics, and we'll go recruiting and play golf and fish and have a good time.
Two former national champion coaches, Norm Sloan and Jim Valvano, tried to have a good time yesterday in Syracuse, but only Sloan was smiling in the end as his Florida Gators defeated Jim Valvano's NC State squad. Sloan won the NCAA title in 1974 as the Wolfpack coach, and for him and his little playmaking guard, Monty Tao, who is now his assistant at Florida, it was more than just a game.
This makes it a little bit more special of a game for us, I believe. It's a program that we left 7 years ago and came down here in hopes that one day we would have as fine a tradition and as fine a program as they have there, and we're close to getting to that point.
It makes a special game out of it for me. That doesn't mean it means any more to beat North Carolina State than it would be to play any other team and win. But I'm not going to stand up here and say, oh, shucks, fellas, it's just another game. You know, that's bull.
Another reunion is in the offing later today when Alabama coach Wimp Sanderson and his former assistant coach Benny Dees clash in Birmingham. Dees is now at New Orleans, and his team has made it to the second round.
Well, I think Ben's a fine coach. Have a good team. It wouldn't be me going against him. It's my team going against his team.
Usually we talk every Sunday morning, and because everybody's played and kept up with scores and that sort of thing. Man's a heck of a basketball coach.
Well, he said the same thing about you.
I paid him.
What a character. You know, James, before we go back to Indianapolis, high-scoring games we've had in this tournament. A long time ago, or not that long ago, actually, 53 points for Bobby Knight would usually win a game. And that's how much the Hoosiers have at halftime.
Jimmy, I got to be candid. Coaches are a fickle bunch. At the start of the season, they objected to the three-point shot because the line was so close. They said it turned the game back a few years. But coaches are learning how to use that three-point line now. They're taking more shots, and it's quite effective. Coupled with the 45-second clock, you're going to see higher scores. Now, in the case of the Indiana-Auburn game, Indiana was forced to pick their tempo up in order to get back into it. That's why that score is so high.
How about the second half here?
Second half, Auburn's going to have to go out. Even though they've got 3 starters in foul trouble, they're going to have to play with the same kind of reckless abandon that they did in the first half in order to get back into the game, or Indiana will take it away from them emotionally.
Okay, James, Indiana in front 53-48. We'll go back to Brent and Billy after this message and a word from your local stations.
Say you're John McCarty.
John, we need an answer now.
With a fast decision to make, and your people are in 3 different cities. Just use your touch-tone phone to talk with all of them at the same time.
Are we going to junk the format?
Who's he talking to? It's called AT&T Alliance Teleconferencing Service. From equipment to networking, from computers to communications. I want it. Done. AT&T comes through. Set up your own conference call. 0700-456-1000.
I've tried it. Now I believe it. Denerex Tingles tells me it's doing more. Head and Shoulders, no tingle.
Both have dandruff medicine, but Denerex adds both an extra anti-itch medicine and conditioner, too.
Goodbye, Head and Shoulders. Hello, Denerex.
Billy D. Williams talks about Colt 45.
There are 2 rules to remember if you want to have a good time. Rule number 1, never run out of Colt 45. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. You want to know why you should keep plenty of Colt 45 on hand? You never know when friends might show up. I don't claim you can have a better time with Colt 45 than without it. But why take chances?
The power of Colt 45. It works every time. By this time tomorrow morning, I've got to be on location 500 miles from here. No limo for me. I like driving too much. This Mazda 626 Coupe has a fuel-injected overhead cam power plant that just loves to run. There's also a very sophisticated suspension system that really takes the kinks out of corners. You could easily pay $6 grand more for one of those European road cars and not get a better car. But if it'd make you feel any better, you can always send the money to me. My address is 337...
This is CBS.
If you plan ahead, you get ahead. That's why you need an individual retirement account. Secure your IRA now at National City, the Performance Bank.
Ford announces a new 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty on all new 1987 Ford light trucks. Plus, get 3.9% financing or $600 cash back on F-Series and Bronco 2, $500 on Ranger, Combined with option package discounts, save up to $2,397 on F-Series pickups, $2,165 on Ford Bronco 2, and $1,811 on Ford Ranger. Ford value, better than ever. See your Indiana Ford dealer today.
CBS Sports coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. New York Light to help you get the most out of life. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light.
We'll start the second half with Indiana leading Auburn 53-48. And here are some of the numbers from the first half. At the free throw line, there was a big edge for Indiana. 15 of 18. Auburn shot only 7 free throws in that half. Rebounding, Auburn started out strong, and then the Hoosiers came on and wound up with a 21-15 edge. Now look at the field goal shooting. Auburn 43% for the field. Indiana 67. Billy, we got a couple things to talk about. Number one, what about the gamble by Coach Sonny Smith of Auburn over there to keep 3 of his starters, one with 3 and the other with 2 fouls apiece, on the bench for the bulk of the first half? That's a huge gamble for the coach.
It really was, and I would imagine that Sonny, if he looked up at that scoreboard right now with 5 points down, would have to be happy. He only got 17 minutes of playing time out of 2 of his starters, and that is something that if you'd have told me before the game, I figure he'd been blown out by now. It's very difficult for him if he doesn't have all 5 men on the floor.
Billy, you noticed yesterday these are not breakaway rims, so we asked the 2 coaches, Bob Knight, what about the rims and some of the hard rebounds we get here? How hard are they?
Well, these rims are like pouring 2 pounds of salt into a 1-pound sack. I mean, it's a really hard, tight rim set into the backboard. They're not breakaway rims, and they're about as hard a rim as I've ever seen.
I do feel that there is some problems with that because we play with the breakaway rims and we so-called basket sucking type deals, you know, where they suck the ball into the basket. I felt like these rims were very tight. We had layups going in and out last night. I would agree with that 100%.
Well, you know, we're looking at something that the rim is actually 5/8 in diameter. It's 18 inches diameter where the ball goes through there. But there's a lot of difference between that soft rim and a hard rim. And as you can see, that's not a breakaway, which is very surprising in regard to guys that are going up there and dunking all the time. So the player's really not used to it.
Well, after the first round of the NCAA tournament, the Big East still unbeaten. Mr. Packer 5-0, and down at the bottom, the ACC 2-4 with North Carolina and Duke left.
Yes, and Brent, I think that in addition to teams going for the national championship, there's an awful lot of conference pride that takes place in the NCAA tournament. A lot of bragging rights there, so Dave Gavitt in the Big East and Wayne Duke, who happens to be here today in the Big Ten, have to be very proud right now.
Another thing I want to point out is that all that ranting and raving that some folks do about the home court advantage and it shouldn't be allowed in the first round, again, it didn't hold true. We had UAB knocked off down in Birmingham. Arizona didn't make it out in Tucson. Syracuse had to struggle at home, and of course last year they were picked off in the Carrier Dome by Navy. I think if you get neutral officiating...
Are you animated?
No. If you get neutral officiating, it will help offset the home crowd advantage. And sometimes you don't always get that during the conference season. They can be influenced too, these folks.
You know, another thing about that home court, Brennan, I know every coach in America would rather play at home than away, but during tournament time, sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on that home team. Everybody expecting them to win.
Yes, they did. 53-48. Indiana.
Same starting lineup coming back out here.
So the starters back on the floor for Sonny Smith's Auburn Tigers. The 3 from Alford is short. Thomas with an offensive rebound.
Did he call that a charge? We got a little principle of verticality on that call.
It was interesting that Bob Knight came out and made a point of shaking hands with Sonny Smith before this half started.
Called that a walk on the inside, Brent, before he went up for the shot. Great man-to-man again by Indiana.
Knocked away from Ford by Garrett. Here comes Smart on the move for the Hoosiers. Alford's pull-up. Rebound White.
You don't see Steve Alford missing many of those.
away from Moore and out of bounds.
Sonny Smith saying, how about a foul in the inside? Again, Indiana man-to-man out of bounds.
No, you hit it.
Remember that out-of-bounds play, Kentucky-Oklahoma, Brent, just a little screen away.
Ford chips it on over. And a foul going against Alford underneath.
You notice how easy it seems to be to get that ball down inside to Moore. Garrett playing right behind him. Garrett's got to be careful about fouls also. I thought that was very important when he went out of the ball game. He's got 3 on him. Very important to Indiana to have him on the floor.
Jeff Moore with 2 shots for Auburn.
You notice how Knight has these fans trained? They're not up behind the glass waving their hands here at the Hoosier Dome.
You know, the perspective here is tough, too. Anytime you play in these big arenas like this, that background is so far away as opposed to a normal court. Let's check out this defense. They're back to the triangle in 2. Callaway and Alford being guarded man-to-man.
They're short. Jones rebounded. Short on the pass. Callaway got the turnover.
Down 3, not a smart play, trying to go for the home run.
Thomas throws it up. Traveling is the call. That's 13 turnovers by the Hoosiers.
Traveling, Indiana.
Chris Morris hadn't been able to get started offensively, Brent. I think those fouls put him in a position where he can't get into the flow of the game. See if Auburn tries to go to him.
He's handling the ball right now. Gives it up to White. And Moore, center will move his shot out. Callaway rebound. Smart will pull it up. Score the basket. But it's going to go against Indiana.
That's a
big
tough foul.
4th foul on Garrett.
Tough foul. Bobby Knight really knows he needs his athletic ability in that middle.
They'll take him out and come with Todd Meyer.
Todd Meyer. 2 team fouls.
Garrett made 2nd team, newcomer of the year in the Big Ten this year, 2nd team all-conference performer.
And it's something we talk about, the fouls and the free throws going one way, and yet the biggest foul of the game goes against Indiana. Morris underneath, can't hit the layup, yanked away by Thomas. That's the way it is. I guess the breaks somehow even up. Doesn't seem that way, though, especially if you're a coach.
Alford's 3 on the money. Well, that's a good job by Smart to force that defense all the way back to the basket, and Alford picks up.
White on the penetration, got the layup. Chance for the 3-pointer. That's the first on Meyer.
Meyer trying to get over in time. Good penetration by White. That last play is so great when you've got a guy that can come out on a delayed break like Alford can and sit back there in the 3-point range. Just be patient, get the good dish inside, and then throw it back out.
Gerald White with the basket at the line on the foul.
Not too quick. It comes sliding and ready. Look out.
White really has had physical problems this year. Back injury kept him out of all preseason activity. He's the guy they need. He's the glue to this ball club.
Indiana holding a 5-point lead. If you joined us late, they were down by 14 in the early minutes of this game. Smart.
Smart kind of up and down ball player. We saw him have a great game against Ohio State.
Jones back inside. Offensive rebound. Morris won't stay. And Meyer backing into Jeff Moore, and it's going to go against Moore, who reached up.
But Morris having a rough day inside. It's 2 times down the floor. He hadn't been able to get an easy shot up. Pretty good blocking out by Todd Meyer.
First team foul on the Auburn Tigers.
Okay, now here you go. Back to a different defense. The left Brent, you wonder how any defense could be conceived to leave that fellow open.
Sonny Smith takes a timeout.
Mazda wanted me to tell you about their brand new 4x4, but I'd rather show you. I hammered this truck for days to see for myself just how good it really is. Bottom line, best 4x4 I've ever driven, period. Another real surprise was that Mazda's loaded up SE5 4x4 is priced close to the other guy's stripped down 4x4s. Now, if you ask me, that's worth jumping about.
The house is paid up. Kids are out of college. Things are fantastic.
So what's the problem?
Things are not so fantastic. After 30 years, I realized a financial genius I'm not. You need some advice.
You put a lot into life. You deserve to get the most out of it. We can help. At New York Life, we have the resources to make the most of your resources. We offer a range of financial opportunities, including mutual funds, annuities, and limited partnerships. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Get the most out of life with New York Life.
My dandruff shampoo is good.
Better try something else. Mine really works.
You'd better try something else, like Selsun Blue. Doctors recommend it more than all of the leading brands. None get rid of dandruff better than Selsun Blue.
From the shooting stars to the dunk and dazzle, CBS Sports presents Life in the Fast Lane. The road to the Final Four continues tomorrow.
The last time Indiana won the national title, Landon Turner was Bob Knight's center, and he probably is the reason why he's still coaching. Turner was involved in an automobile accident and paralyzed. He was in the huddle during that timeout. It was during that summer that Knight considered leaving. Field goal put in by Jones of Auburn. But because Turner wound up in a wheelchair, Knight felt an obligation to the rest of the players to come back, and he has continued ever since as the Hoosier coach. As a matter of fact, he probably would have worked for CBS television as a basketball analyst. That was the job offer he was considering at the time. He remains very close to the Turner family.
Brett, they go 1-3-1 zone now.
Indiana comes away with it.
Good job by Darryl Thomas to keep it alive. Starting to get away from it. Getting away from their offense now. Good job by pressuring Indiana. Now you got to look for Alford for a three.
Thomas traveled.
Boy, he had a perfect situation here to pop it back out to Steve Auburn. A double team. Steve was set, ready for that rocker motion on that jumper of his, and he never got the ball back.
3 team fouls against the Hoosiers and 1 against Auburn here at the 15-50 mark. Jones, short again. Offensive rebound, Morris.
That's the first one Morris has had to get the ball for him here in his second half, although he's had 2 others. He was right inside. Alford's going to recognize this defense, Brent, and get outside for the three-pointer against this 1-3-1.
Smart's got him.
There he is. Count on it.
Just like you predicted.
He can smell those type of zones, and he knows where the holes are. Son of a coach, plus being well coached on the college level. Good hands.
Indiana with a loose ball.
Sonny Smith may have to go ahead and call a timeout to change this momentum a little bit. Indiana on a nice roll here. They stay in the 1-3-1 zone. Alford wants it to swing it.
The 3 from Smart. Long rebound. White. Oh, nice side for the layup and tapped up and in by Moore.
White wanting a foul on the inside. Looks back at that ref, gets no call. They change their defense again. They go back to the triangle and 2. Steve Alford is so patient, isn't he?
He sure is.
He's a clinic.
There's Callaway. Rick Callaway. 14 this afternoon.
That defense is designed to stop Callaway and Alford. They're the 2 scoring against it.
Smith cannot trade baskets with the Hoosiers. His defense will have to trigger some kind of a run, or Auburn will not get back in this. Jones, who has been off the money here in the second half. Jones will have to get some of his teammates involved. Thomas. He'll get the roll.
It's time for a timeout for Auburn.
72-59, all Indiana.
Indiana on a real roll here.
Jones again, and this time he's got it on the turnaround.
Nobody back.
Smart couldn't hit it. White couldn't get it to roll. Callaway out to Alford. Thomas on the right. Alford pulls up.
Bet they're waiting a long time to call a timeout to change this momentum. And
he'll take it now. Indiana showing you why they are the top-seeded team in the Midwest region. We'll be right back.
We're not a company, but outstanding people come to us every day. People who want to make a contribution to a team and do work that really counts. People eager to see new places, do the unusual, and find the unusual. People who become your friends for life. People just like you. We're not a company. We're your country. We're the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Power, performance, excitement. If they make your temperature rise, Nissan has 3 kinds of heat.
We got the power to make you move. We make you feel like driving. We make you feel like driving.
The hot new wide-open Pulsar NX. The hotter V6 200SX. The hottest 300ZX ever. They're what hot driving is all about.
We make you feel like driving. And the name is Nissan.
If you just ask for a light beer...
give me a light.
You never know what you'll get.
Bud Light.
Nice shot.
Heads up.
So if you want the less spilling light beer with the first name and taste, ask for Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
Billy, Steve Alford does so many things well.
Well, here's one of the things that a lot of young players ought to keep an eye on. He's going to take the ball down on a semi-break. He does not try to penetrate all the way, but pulls up at that foul line. He gave a little ball fake and head fake, looking like he was going to Thomas, which really sealed the defense to the point that they were mesmerized. Then he pulled up and took that jump shot. Really a key play for that guy, if he can't penetrate all the way, to pull up at that foul line.
Billy, he has scored 25.
About as quiet at 25 as you'll ever see. And he hasn't had to go to the three-point shot that much, although every one he's put up there, it seems like he's made.
The Indiana defense has held Auburn to 5 of 15 with that poor shooting statistic that you just saw on the screen.
Auburn has really not gotten in the flow of their offense here in the second half. It looks like they're in the pattern a little bit better now.
Moore.
He's got a little bit of that Charles Barkley big body so that when he does that spin on you, he picks up a couple of feet. Triangle and 2. You can hear the players screaming out what the defense is. That means 3 fellas playing zone, 2 chasing their men man to man.
Thomas. Lynn comes out for the Tigers. The backcourt, and it's intercepted. Smart, who has dished out 10 assists, has played a strong floor game for Knight here this afternoon. Offered the three.
Credit Meyer with a great screen on Steve Alford. You notice when he comes back to the ball, Brent, he's squared up to the basket, feet, shoulders, and everything. So he's ready to release that three-point shot.
More.
And speaking of the three-point shot, a little stat that's kind of interesting. Indiana is the only team in the NCAA field that's shooting over 50% from the three-point range as a team. Of course, a lot of that's credited to Alford,
who is 6 of 8 from that range in this game.
As I said before, I can't remember the ones he missed.
There was a whistle before Smart shot. You can see Steve Isle checking back in for Knight. And now, again, contact. And Thomas and Moore reach back in.
Now, on this particular play, Thomas pushed Moore from the backside to start all this off. Kind of interesting, these two clubs to be going after each other. They haven't faced each other. It's not a conference situation.
Here is what happened down on the inside.
There was the push.
Moore was being pushed by Thomas. And Morris stepped in and had words with him, but Billy, you saw the push.
Yeah, the no question that Thomas pushed Moore from the backside. Getting a little ugly out there right now. Moore and Thomas fighting for every inch of ground.
Smart gets inside.
And Brent, there was a case where Moore was so interested in Thomas, he left his area of the zone, which allowed Smart to come right down inside. You can't let your mental game get away from you.
Jones, Thomas fouling. Along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger here at the Hoosier Dome. We start our triple-header coverage. Round 2 of the NCAA tournament on CBS. Indiana was down 24-10 in the first half. Now they have seized control, as they did with a 43-24 burst the remainder of the first half. They have led ever since and really not been challenged. Billy, your overall assessment of the Indiana team?
Well, I think Indiana is one of the most solid teams in the country, and I've felt that throughout the course of this season. It is going to take an outstanding effort from a real good ball club to knock them off, if anybody does. I mean, this is a championship caliber club.
Frank Ford has not scored this afternoon for Auburn, number 15. Thomas. Smart got it back. Loses it.
You know, Smart gives you that spark that you need. He does some individual things away from the offense that are spectacular.
First field goal, a home run. It's a 9-point Indiana lead. 79-70, 10 minutes to go.
They're back to the box and one now. Chasing Alford around.
Steve's three, not this time. Jones rebounds. Auburn on a bit of a run. White's pass kicked and went out of bounds.
Brent, White went up in the air that time. We were talking about a point guard pulling up at that foul line and making the good play. He went up in the air, overcommitted himself, and really was fortunate there that the ball went out off an Indiana player's leg.
Moore sits down, and Morris checks back in. White's three. Run down by Howard. Inside to Ford. Great body control, staying with the ball that had been knocked free. Ford puts 5 on. Auburn closes to within 7, 79-72.
Well, that was a great defensive play by Alford, and Ford, I don't know how he kept his eyes on that ball.
Jones gambles and fails. Thomas Burns in.
You know, when you think about it, you wonder how is Auburn this close? They really haven't had big games out of 2 of their key starters. Got in a lot of foul trouble. They're hanging on.
Short on the 2. Smart and Howard collide. Terrence Howard's 4th foul. A summary of this Midwest regional activity would look like this. Indiana with 42 points out of its backcourt and shooting 64% from the field, holding Auburn to 41% with Steve Alford leading the way.
Brent, team fouls for Auburn only 3. You remember the first half that Indiana was in, at this point, was already in the 1-and-1. Actually at the 11-minute mark.
Morris takes Alford to the floor on the cut.
Trying to get a screen. They have Morris on him now, putting a taller man on Alford, but Alford will move right around those screens. Morris comes over the shoulder, and he kicked Alford on the way down. Really unnecessary. A little cheap shot there.
Alford's 3.
Well, if you're
31 points.
If you're going to play against Indiana, you have to know that out-of-bounds play with the double screen is coming. Short.
Smart. 8 rebounds and 13 assists in that Indiana backcourt. Billy, you were right about him. You pointed him out at the top of the broadcast, and you said he would be a key athlete for Bob Knight and the Hoosiers.
Well, Bob Knight went the junior college route because he felt that's where he could pick up the kind of athlete that you need in the 80s to win national championships. Like this one right here.
Callaway can't get the roll. Jones out. 8 minutes to go. Moore.
Boy, he has good hands.
And reaching in was Smart, committing his 2nd personal.
Right here.
You know, Moore reminds me, he's not the player Charles Barkley was, but Moore reminds me a lot of him, the way he sits down in the low post and has those soft hands. I was reading about Barkley the other day, as a matter of fact, and with all his power inside, I never realized he cannot palm the ball. That's why you never see those one-handed slam dunks of his.
Morris. Isles rebound.
He always gets so high up above the basket so he can come down with the one hand, but more of the times than not, he uses the 2. Let's see the defense again. They have Morris playing against Alford. He's giving him a lot of body, but he's not used to chasing a man around screens.
He'll have a tough time
battling
through all those screens.
Kind of obvious. And he's saying, hey, slow down, Alford.
It's like a minefield when you go out after Alford. Thomas missing. Isle rebounded. Reset, Hoosiers.
Now, one of the things with these tight rims that we showed at halftime, Brent, is that you're going to get a lot of wide rebounds. He can't play him out there.
Morris can't handle him, and Alford knows it. That's his 4th personal foul.
You know, Morris has got to stop reaching and figure that he's tall enough to prevent Alford from putting up the jumper. Plus, Alford very seldom forces a jump shot. So his job is just to stay in position, not worry about trying to make blocks. They go to half-court trap. Nice.
Moore. That's his 4th.
Great head fake by Steve Alford on the side. Gets his man up, and then right off the dribble, whips that pass inside. Great play. It'd be interesting to chart how little Steve Alford has the ball in his hands. Talking about a guy that scored over 2,000 points in his career. #1 scorer in the history of Indiana basketball. Now, I guess, the #1 scorer in the history of the Big Ten, past Rick Mount today.
He's hit 7 3-pointers today out of his 10 attempts. Overall, 10 of 15 from the floor.
You know, he looks like a choir boy, but is a lot tougher kid than his looks show you.
He didn't back away when it got a little heated out there earlier. You know, you see scouting reports on Steve Alford. One I saw from Marty Blake, I had to laugh. Said, well, he's a great offensive player as Auburn ships it inside the court. He said, Alford's a great offensive player, but I'd like to see him guard Michael Jordan. Well, Marty, I'd like to see anybody guard Michael Jordan. What are we talking about here?
Well, did you say guard him or stop him? Nice.
Morris.
Oh, now how about this call? That's got to bring Bobby Knight up. I can't believe that call either, Mr. Knight. I mean, that was a no-call play.
Smart is third.
It's a no-call here. Smart's under the basket. Play's over.
Chris Ford for Auburn.
Moore and Morris leaping in, so Auburn with 2 attempts to reduce Indiana's lead, and both times they failed.
Did Sonny Smith give that ref a little tap on the backside there going by? They're trapping half court now, and you know who this means going to be open on the weak side if they can get him the ball.
Thomas. That's 20 points for Darrell Thomas.
Very difficult, the half-court trap an Indiana team. They work on the delay game so much that they spread you out. Very patient.
Ford. Sonny Smith takes a timeout here at the 5:52 mark. It's a 10-point lead. Auburn's still in it.
Excuse me, we can't. You can't.
Don't move, Hammer. I gave it up. No more harsh malt liquor taste. I've come for King Cobra smooth taste and cold malt liquor satisfaction. So I've heard. Now hand it over. Don't let the smooth taste fool you. It's the new breed. It's quality. Hey, this is it.
Don't move, Hammer.
King Cobra.
Who has the sight and sound experience you must experience? Who? RCA. With digital command component systems. If you settle for less than RCA, that's exactly what you'll get.
Aren't you going to say anything about this Pontiac 6000?
Oh, you mean about how well it handles, how quick it is, how it's one fine road car?
Well, yeah.
Come on, if I said all that, we'd sound like a car commercial. We will excite. Singers will do that.
Pontiac.
She's from Western.
Of all the airline mergers, one really stands out because it's the people of Western joining the people of Delta. And when pros start working together, you know what you have? An all-star team. That's how the best get better.
This is going to be quite a team. You're right.
The best get better. Delta
That, along with Billy Packer, I'm Brent Musburger. We hope you're enjoying this one as we start our triple-header coverage. Indiana leading Auburn here in the Midwest region. 5:52 to go, and the General with 4 timeouts remaining, and Coach Smith of Auburn is down to 1. Billy, what about the Tigers? Can they make one last burst?
Well, there's a lot of time, Brent. We've got the clock, as you know, in college basketball. I don't think you have to make that last-ditch effort to figure that you've got to make it all at once. With a 3-point play, down 10, there's a lot of time to come back. I think what they've got to do is become more solid defensively, because if they spread out and chase Indiana, one of the best in the country at being able to spread you on the half-court basis, pull their offense up above the foul line, and go for those nice plays like they did last time into Thomas.
So Howard and Moore with the 4 fouls for Auburn, and Garrett, who has been over on the Indiana bench since picking up his 4th, not on the floor. Smart. Great jumping ability on the penetration.
And that's a dimension that Indiana did not have before he arrived. An explosive athlete that could just take it down inside against other athletes.
We forget some of these other athletes when we praise Alford all the time. It's a good Indiana team. Jones. Moore
Great tap.
tapped it in.
He's got the soft hands, doesn't he? And here you have a little zone press. Trapping into corners.
Galloway gets it to Isle. Smart lost it coming out. And a foul is called on Morris. That's his 5th foul. I thought he might have traveled.
Foul number 5.
Callaway tried to split the trap, and he wants him to get rid of that ball before he gets caught in that trap. This really hurts with Morris going out because he had the size.
Number 10,
Terrence Howard comes in. He's only 6'1". He'll play with 4 fouls. Now at the free throw line, Keith Smart is 6'1", the JC transfer, a junior at Indiana. He's out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, wouldn't he love to play in a Final Four game down in New Orleans?
Morris, a 13.5 point per game scorer, did not have much of a day today.
There's more.
Mound of sound in there again. He is caught.
Within 8 at the 4:45 mark.
What breaks their back right now is a 3-pointer by Alford.
Here it comes.
Didn't get it.
But Callaway runs it down.
See, when you spread your defense out like that, Brent, it just allows Alford to get in position to shoot him. He might not have made that one. They're man-to-man now.
Thomas.
Sonny Allen. I always call him Sonny Allen. You know, that's the Nevada Reno coach that just got fired. Must be a Freudian slip on my mind.
Jones missing, Isle out for the Hoosiers, and here's Smart. Smart is looking for his 16th assist.
That was 3 seconds.
Thomas couldn't hit it.
Thinking about some 3-point shots from Auburn now, Brent. Time's getting down there, and if they're going to make a run at 10-point deficit, you've got to shoot some from out there.
Here's Ford.
Is he going to make short?
Thomas comes out. Indiana up by 10. Howard coming back.
He walked. Howard got the ball caught right in his shoulders. I mean, in his hips. Could not get rid of it.
2:53 left in regulation. Indiana leading Auburn by 10 points. That'll be game 2 of our tripleheader. Most of you will see the Shark, Jerry Tarkanian, and the Runnin' Rebels, and of course many here in the Midwest will watch the Fighting Irish. And we'll be back to cover the Duke Xavier game. Coach Pete Gillen doing a good job with that Xavier team. Open man is Callaway. 16 for Rick Callaway here this afternoon.
I believe Mr. Knight has his way into the regional, Brent.
Sonny Smith will use his last timeout. Back in a moment.
Okay, thanks. My insurance rep says go with the GM parts.
Great. You'd be surprised how many imitation parts are around.
Really?
I always assumed GM fenders were replaced with GM fenders. Turns out there are all kinds of imitation parts, and some don't even come close to GM specs for fit, finish, and corrosion protection. So remember, even if an insurance company is paying, it's still your car, and it's still your choice. Insist on genuine General Motors parts.
We're making breakfast by the hand. You can take it by the hand. Snap to it. Start today. You can shake it, you can roll it, you can pop it, you can stroll it when it's made McDonald's way.
Big muffins hot and fresh. Biscuits at their best.
Five delicious kinds. It's a sign of the times. It's a good time. For the great taste of McDonald's. Breakfast by the hand. By the hand. Pontiac. Time.
Guy's got himself a new Grand Am, huh? V6, aero skirts, big gauges, bucket seats.
So how have you been?
I've been up to here with all you goof-offs and your high-tech cars trying to schmooze us girls. One more thing.
What's that?
The Pontiac looks good on
Well,
you.
you're looking pretty good yourself.
Move it, Buster. Get out of here.
We build excitement. Pontiac.
Quinn Buckner, Bobby Wilkerson, and Isaiah Thomas shared the Indiana single-game record for assists with 14. That was broken here this afternoon by Keith Smart. Buckner, Wilkerson, Thomas all played on championship teams coached by Knight. Could Smart get there? Well, they are moving ever closer to that. What a game he has turned in here this afternoon, Billy.
He really has, and it didn't surprise me at all. I mean, I really think that he's the key.
.232 left. We would like to welcome those of you along the Pacific Network who have just joined us. I'm Brent Musburger along with Billy Packer. We have 2:32 to go. Indiana leading Auburn 94-82. Indiana was down by 14 in the early moments of this game, but they seized control. They have been in command ever since. 94-82, Indiana in white. Steve Alford today has been red hot with 31 points. He's handling the ball for the Hoosiers, and they will try to bring the time down as Auburn, gambling on defense now, has spread the floor, and Alford has been picking them clean.
Now, what Bob Knight is saying is that referee is keep the hands off Alford, and he wants him on that foul line. He'll come out and get the ball. They'd like to have him on that foul line. They're not going to give it up. We're down to 10 seconds.
Callaway. Isle with a strong offensive rebound, and he traveled as he crashed to the floor. Make a good effort by Isle. And for those of you who just joined us, take a look at our game summary. 47 points from the backcourt. Alford and Smart. Indiana shot 60% from the field, held Auburn to 42%. 31 for Alford and Smart. A new Indiana single-game assist record here this afternoon. Team with a chance to go all the way. Jones hits a three-pointer for Auburn.
They've got to be thinking 3 points all the way. They go and follow Callaway right away. I was surprised they went inside the last time. Jones has had quite a ball game. You know what, Brent?
Billy, you would look back to the early moments of the second half. That's when this game was won by Indiana.
Yeah, they came out and played very solid in the second half. I thought they started very lethargically in this ball game, which really surprised me. The crowd was quiet, and Indiana did not come out with a lot of fire, but with a few fouls were called early there in the first half, got them to the line and really got them started. When Auburn had to go to that bench early, it cost them greatly.
Well, what do you give Knight for coaching his grade here this afternoon?
I'm not
what would you want to give?
No, I'm not into grading coaches at all, but I'll tell you one thing about the man. He has won 75% of the games he's coached in the Big Ten, and he is now the #3 guy, and by next year,
I
he'll
won't
probably
tell
be
him
the all...
to give him a B rather than an A.
No, I don't get into that. Guys that get this far deserve all A's.
You're being too nice.
No. Did you see Smart asking for 2 shots there, but obviously it was not. Player going for the ball.
Now there's a reminder of what we got coming up second. Jerry Tarkanian and the Runnin' Rebels up against Kansas State. Any of you will see that? How about Digger Phelps and Notre Dame? Can they handle TCU? Probably the best team out of the Southwest Conference. There's 17 points.
Sonny Smith took his team to a regional final last year before losing to eventual national champion Louisville. You know, the only coach at Auburn ever to take a team to the NCAA tournament. Martin, the turnover, here they come. For Indiana, it's win the game. Don't try to do things spectacularly.
Gonna put somebody on the line. Score the basket. Indiana will advance to the regional next Thursday night in Cincinnati, where Knight and the the Hoosiers will take on the winner of the Duke Xavier game.
Well, that could possibly bring up a matchup between coach and pupil.
So I'm reminded that they will play Friday in Cincinnati.
You like to have those seniors come tournament time. Thomas, Alford. Then that nice blend of the junior college. Smart coming in there. And Garrett.
3 by White.
This Auburn team looked very good today, and it shows you how good the SEC is. They came in 5th place in that league. Oh, beauty.
Traveling.
Into the Indiana lineup, number 44, Joe Hillman.
Alford will lead.
Steve Alford played here in another night before 67,000 when Bob Knight brought that Olympic team in here.
Underneath. Going against Auburn. So Frank Ford becomes the second Tiger to foul out. And Indiana will advance to the Friday night game in Cincinnati against the winner of the upcoming Duke Xavier game. For the Tigers, a long trip back home to Alabama.
Pete Smart at the line for Indiana. Number 24, Derek Dennison in the Auburn lineup.
Brent, we saw this young man explode against Ohio State. And you knew he was a special player in regard to the great leaping ability and skills he has. He's an offensive, very solid player.
Number 10, Tony Freeman.
Smart lead. That brought a smile to Bob Knight. Kid played a good game. Great game.
When you have one guard with over 30, the other guard with a single game assist record for Indiana. Hillman. Goaltending.
But you know what's amazing to me about Smart and Garrett is the fact that Bob Knight runs a very complicated system. And to come in from junior college to be able to assimilate in that system so quickly is really amazing.
Goaltending at this end. Ryan Sloan, 45, the son of former NBA star and coach Jerry Sloan.
He wanted to get into stats, but not on the other team's scorecard.
The Hoosiers will win this one. And Bob Knight moves a step closer to a third national championship. Tough in the early moments. They were down by 14, Indiana was, 24-10. And then they outscored Auburn 43-24. So coming up next, Jim Nance will set the table for the rest of the afternoon. And we'll be right back with the General in a moment.
While some still believe you can't take it with you, those who've driven the new Mitsubishi wagon know just the opposite to be true. Now not only can you take it with you, but you can do so with a remarkable combination of style, spacious comfort, and versatility. The new Mitsubishi wagon, patiently crafted so you can take it all with you. Or better yet, so you can leave it all behind.
Mitsubishi.
Here's why these New England fishermen take Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine.
When I catch a cold, it's a tough one, and the only thing that seems to help me is Alka-Seltzer Plus.
I get aches and pains, runny nose, nasally, and Alka-Seltzer Plus works every time.
When I get a cold, my head feels like it's 3 feet thick. Alka-Seltzer Plus helps break through, helps me get back on my feet.
Alka-Seltzer Plus cold medicine. Fast, effective relief for tough winter colds.
In a word, it works.
U.S. Sprint keeps building, not just a link or a few lines of fiber optics, but the first and only 100% fiber optic network clear across America. With more fiber optic cable in place right now than AT&T. So U.S. Sprint can keep giving you the best overall savings and give you the clearest connections in long distance. Call U.S. Sprint, builders of the first and only 100% fiber optic network clear across America.
So Indiana becomes the first team to advance to the Sweet 16, a 17-point victory over Auburn. The Chevy MVPs, Mike Jones, 30 points for the Tigers. And how about Steve Alford today, 31 points for the Hoosiers. Coming up next, you'll see the Notre Dame against TCU or Kansas State against UNLV. In about a half an hour, those of you in Ohio and the ACC region will see Xavier against Duke. The road to the Final Four continues on CBS Sports right after this.
I don't know. What are you going to do?
I don't know.
I'd go to college.
Me too.
If I had the money.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
I don't know. What are you going to do?
You don't want those fries.
What are you going to do, Jack? Eat your way to college?
Really? I'm going to college on the new GI Bill. You serve full-time in the armed forces or part-time in the reserves, and you earn a lot of money for tuition.
The new GI Bill.
Are you using that pickle?
Now for young men and women in the armed forces. It's a great place to start. See your local recruiter.
Мы в последних секундах 310 игр статуи Liberty.
It's almost over, and the Russians are winning. The 310th annual Statue of Liberty Challenge. Bad news for the Americans who kept the statue home for the last 74 years. Wait! The Americans have got position! Petrov and Zdenko are tagged out! What a comeback! I've never seen anything like it! We may keep the statue home after all. It's a miracle! Only 2 players left! Grant, Borisovich and Grant! It's 1-on-1!
Laser tag. Practice hard, America.
When investors wanted to reduce the high risk and high tech, Prudential Bates created Prutech 1 and 2.
This has real potential.
Select portfolios built on identifying promising products and companies on the leading edge of scientific frontiers.
This new process is incredible.
A first of its kind for the personal investor and a way to share in the growth available through technology.
All right, let's go.
If anyone can show you a more advanced approach towards new and better ways to make money, it's Prudential Bates. Rock solid, market wise.
All right, coming up next, we're going to take most of you to Salt Lake City, where #1 in the West, UNLV, will take on Kansas State, while others will go to Charlotte, TCU, and Notre Dame. All of that will happen here on the road to the Final Four after this message and a word from your local stations.
Nissan announces the best deal ever on this 87 hard-body truck. A $630 Value Plus package with top custom bumpers.
Sliding rear window.
Dual outside mirrors. And a lot more at no extra charge. Then add in our 3.9% factory-sponsored financing. Depending on the model you choose and length of contract, you could save over $1,400. That's a ton of money. And a lot of truck. So hurry down to your Nissan dealer now and drive home our best deal ever.
Turn it on, big boy. Turn on that energy from 100% whole wheat. That Wheaties energy. Foothills all out, good whole wheat. And oh, tell your mama what the big boys eat.
Who has the sight and sound experience you must experience? Who? RCA. With digital command component systems. If you settle for less than RCA, that's exactly what you'll get.
United's cut fares from coast to coast. Fly for just $29 to $99 to more cities than any other airline with as little as 2 days advance purchase.
You're not just flying, you're flying friendly skies.
Katarina Witt. She has worn Olympic gold and captured 2 world championships.
Her athletic artistry placed her at the pinnacle of her sport until last year when a
Coast.
Tonight, they will once again vie for the world crown and in the process raise sport to art. It is beauty at its best. The World Figure Skating Championships tonight on CBS Sports.
This is CBS.
$1,000 cash. Right. I'll beat any other dealer's price by at least $100 on a comparable new car or truck, or I'll give you $1,000. Put us to the test. You'll see why we are Mid-America's #1 Chevy deal beater. Always over 500 Chevys available, including the all-new Corsica and Beretta, the heartbeat of America. Cook's Chevyland, #1 Chevy gold medal deal beater.
Kentucky, famous the world over for the beauty of its thoroughbreds, the excitement in its basketball, and the unequaled flavor of its hickory-smoked barbecue. And right here in Henderson, you can sample Kentucky's most delicious tradition at Greg's Hickory Pit Barbecue. Ribs, chicken, mutton, turkey, all succulent to the taste and comparable to the finest barbecue anywhere. Greg's Hickory Pit Barbecue, continuing the fine traditions of Kentucky for over 40 years.